face difficulties with losing their jobs, having a lower income, and then again, like we feel distressed around this because of this. And then from others, time of crisis and panic will mean like how to shift forward, how to move in my career, in my business, even within these circumstances that we are facing right now. And it will be great if we could have some kind of model, something that would help us to deal with such a situation. You know, like there are many different models in management theories and in books. And if there is something that we can use in times like this, something that we can follow and that we can apply in our daily work so that we can go more effectively through such times. Most of the tools that we have in different trainings, I saw that there are many mentors and coaches in this webinar, are so-called categorization models. So what does it mean? Usually there are like two axes, and then you cross them, and then there is like 4 blocks, low, high, and based on this model, so first you have a model, and then you put the data in this model. So many of such, and this type of models are very good for exploitation. What does it mean? So when I'm working on in my daily job, like I just face something, like I make a list of the things that I need to do to finish during the day, and then I map it in a different quadrants on different tools for time management. You know, like Pareto principle or Eisenhower principle and so on. Or I'm talking to a person, then I observe how a person behaves, and then I use, I don't know, this test or social styles or any kind of model that I know, and then I map what I observe in a model that I already have. So this is a categorization model, and these type of models are very good for exploitation, for implementation, like when I work with it on daily basis. However, these type of models are not so good for exploration, so learning about something, because the framework is predefined. And typical framework I already mentioned, one is urgent and important matrix. If you're a coach, mentor, or trainer, this is one of the basic tools that we use in time management for prioritization. Another tool that is very well known for in management, in training and coaching, is effort impact matrix, where we can based on we can make a task list, and we can see what kind of effort we need to put in order to implement some task, and what might be the impact of this task. Another model that is very well known is model of situational leadership. So these type of models are so-called categorization models. However, when things are changing, when things are moving very fast from day to day, these type of models are not so useful. They are not useful to explore the situation. So in such a situations where we have a fast changes, where day after day we have a new data, new things, new info from market, from media, like how this curve of that people are following right now about number of people who are infected, who are healed, and so on, is changing. We cannot use such models. We need sense-making models. In sense-making models, data is coming before the framework. So the framework comes out as a result of data that we are collecting. And this type of models, if you did the art and science of coaching training, there is one model that we use in that is a sense-making model, and this is model of spiral dynamics. Spiral dynamics is not something that we just put and then we observe person and we put person in one of these levels, but based on the data that we collect in interaction with one person, with teams, with the organization, we can understand where organization or team or individual fits in the spiral dynamics model. I don't know if you know it or not, but if you did art and science of coaching, this is something that we cover in module 3. And in sense-making models, what we have out of complexity, we are trying to get some kind of clarity and to make a sense what is going on here. And I would like today to share with you like one model that really is, in my perception, one of the best models that we can use in such a situations where we can, when we move from chaos into some kind of stability, then new chaos, the new stability, then we don't know what is in front of us. Although we got these positive impulses in many countries that now that things are going better, we don't know if it will have a trend of that will continue to go better. Maybe it will go worse. So out of this data, we would like to get some clarity, and as leaders or as someone who supports leaders to go through such a difficult situations, how to deal with it, how to approach them. And this model is so-called Cynefin framework. And this is a guy who created this model. He's active, and I really recommend, if you are interested in, if you like this presentation, to follow this guy. Very, very, very smart guy. His name is Dave Snowden, and Cynefin is a Welsh word and the meaning of the word is a place of multiple belongings. And how I started this webinar, I shared with you who I am, my different roles. So me, as an individual, I'm a place of multiple belongings. I belong to my family as a husband and father. I belong to my work as a senior partner in company and team leader. And then I belong to a learning community as a learner, as trainer, as coach. So there is a multiple belongings inside of me. So the world is Welsh word, and in literal translation, this word means habitat, a place where a person or animal feels enough to live and belong, where nature feels right and welcoming, so where everything is in balance. So in context of our topic today, this model helps leaders and managers to identify how they perceive situation. And then based on that, to make a sense of what action and what type of approach is appropriate in a given situation. And as I shared with you at the beginning, out from a different roles, I see this situation completely different. So I should have a different approaches based on my perception of the situation, which is kind of crazy right now. So when we talk about this model is essentially sense-making device. And through this model, we can analyze the context in which we are, and based on our perception, we will have a different way how to go through that context. This is what model is all about. And it comes from it is connected with the theory of complexity, where we would like to explore relationship between cause and effect. And in theory of complexity, there are different types of systems based on the connection between cause and effect. And some systems are ordered systems, it's very clear. This is a cause and this is an effect. Whenever you do A, the result, the implication of A will be B. So for example, if I go and turn off the light, it will be dark in the room. It's clear. It's very ordered system. If I want to have a light in the room, go and turn on the light. So known cause implies known effect. And then some systems are really complex because the relationship between cause and effect is unknown. And this is where the problem starts to happen, especially in times like this, where things are changing rapidly. So it's really not clear. Is it like because of virus, now we have all these things, or because of some other economical things, we have virus, and then the result will be something else on a global scale? On a local scale, it's like, okay, if we now go online, so what is a possible effect of our business, where we go from here, or should we go online, or maybe we should wait for time that everything gets back in normal, and then we start to operate again normally. So it's quite complex. We don't know what will happen or what happened or what to do in such a case. And last dimension is our chaotical system, when there is really unknowns on all sides. We don't know how it started. We don't know how it will end. We don't know who is guilty. We don't know who is responsible. But we feel that we are in the middle of all these things, and we just would like to move out of here to some kind of stability. This is what model is all about. And I would like now to go even more in details, to be a little bit more specific, so to see how we can use this model. So ordered systems can be divided in two, like these two areas are ordered systems. And first area is very obvious area, where we have known effect implies non-symptom implies known effect. It's very clear connection. Then second area is the area of complicated. Still, it's clear that there is a connection between cause and effect, but it's not clear to everyone. If you have an expert who, for example, before this webinar started, like we had problems with sound. And okay, first my colleague Andra was here online and myself, and the sound was bad, and we called our colleague Nebojša, and he was online and the sound was bad. So we knew that there is a connection between something here and the sound that we had bad, but we didn't know how to resolve it. And then we found a way. And then there were many different ways how to resolve it, but still it's in order. Like it took us a relatively short period of time to resolve this thing. And then there are complex systems, as I shared with you previously. Yes, Branko is sharing. Okay, Branko shared a comment for each one of us. That's correct. Great. So basically, it comes from maths, and we want to apply it in management and decision. This is this model is applied in decision making. It's one of the applications, decision making theory, and also it can be applied in choosing different management styles when it comes to working with the team members, but also it can be applied in how to approach team leaders or managers when you work with them to support them to go through such a change. And last one is chaotic system. So like, yes, so weather might look random first, yeah, but in chaos theory, this kind of systems, there are patterns as well. Yes, correct. I'm reading what Branko was wrote here in chat. So what we would like to go, we would like to go in these areas and to see how we can use it, how we can use this model in daily work. So key thing is that before you start to act, remember how I started this webinar with categorization models. In categorization models, we say we have a model, then we have a data and we put the data in the model. Here it's a different approach. So we experience something and we say, based on the things that we are experiencing right now, from the different roles that we have for different positions, what is our feeling? In which of these four areas my experience of a situation is right now? Is it like obvious? Is it complicated? Is it complex, or is it chaotic? And we don't act, we don't do anything until we really define from which role we have the experience of the situation and in what quadrant it is, and then the model helps us to act accordingly to our experience of the situation. So different people will experience this situation in different way, and here is the way how to deal with it. So decision models in different areas. In obvious area, if something is really clear, so known cause and effect, known causes implies known effect. So what we need to do as team leaders or um, as experts. First thing is I need to observe. So what is the problem here? To sense it. And then I just need to categorize it because it's obvious in one of the boxes. I know if there is no light here, like I need either to change the bulb or to check the fuse. So there are not so many options, either something outside, something inside, or direct here. These are a couple of options. And then I sense, I categorize, and I respond based on that. So this is the area of best practice. There are many coaches in this webinar, and I would like to address that sometimes clients get used to coaching, and then they want to be overcoached on some obvious problems where there is a approach is really best practice. They would like to be coached around that topic. And I will give you an example. A couple of years ago, I was working with Guy, and he's a really nice guy. But at one point, he started to bring really obvious topics as a part of our coaching process. And of course, insights should be, in coaching, there are two parts. One is achievement, the other is personal transformation. And question is why someone brings obvious topics to coaching. And this is where the client can learn about things. But when it comes to achievement, there is really no need to coach someone around such a topics. One of the sessions, he brought a topic that he said that I'm not motivated to send some kind of an email. I don't know. He said the email is there, but somehow I don't feel motivated enough to send it. And I would like to raise my motivational scale from 1 to 10 to move from 3 to 8 in order to be able to send newsletter. I said, okay, so what do you want? Do you want to be motivated or do you want to send newsletter? He says, no, I want to send a newsletter, but somehow I'm not motivated. And then, just imagine if you would go to your grandmother and then tell this story to your grandmother, what grandmother would tell you. Like, there is a best practice. If your goal is to send newsletter, just go and click send if newsletter is ready. And then later we can talk about insights and what happened here and what is the learning around this process and what stops you and what puts you in a position to procrastinate and do such a things. So for some topics, coaching is really not the best tool. There is a best practice, just do it. This is the way how things are work here. When it comes to managerial topics, using tools, CRM, ERP, all the things, there is a best practice. No need to coach someone around this topic. There are no different ways. And then some things can be really complicated. For example, if the car is broken, here is a symbol. If you take a car to the different mechanics first will find a different ways how to address a problem. Someone will just switch a part, like find a broken part, switch for a new one, that's it, car is working. The other will find a part, then he will buy, I don't know, some cheap version of that part, and again, car will work. Third one will find the part that doesn't work and then fix the part, and then car will work again. So there are many different ways how we can get desired results. So the connection between cause and effect exists, but expert needs to come and to see it. And the different people will find a different ways how cause and effect are interconnected. And this is the area for coaching. For complicated problems, like coaching is a perfect tool, especially if person has expertise. So you can then coach someone, support person to explore different ways how to achieve desired result. And even if person doesn't have ideal result at the very beginning, again, we talk about complicated area, because person can think about his or her best possible result through time. And then there is a present moment, there is a future moment, and there are multiple ways how we can connect present and future moment. So perfect area for pure coaching approach. If you're a team leader, you lead experts, So you can, for the problems that your experts perceive as complicated, you can coach them around this topic. As if you're a coach, you work with a team leader, and team leader faces the area. For example, some businesses are really right now a little bit in a complicated mode. It's not chaotic. In such a cases, you can coach these team leaders to help them to move forward. And then we move on the other side. This is the area, this is the area of good practice. So there is no one way, there is no best way, there are only good ways, and there are many good ways. Again, like if your client if you coach someone and your client insists on one way, on best way in the area of complicated problems, so you can really work on multiple solutions to help them to expand thinking and to make multiple options. This is a really nice. You can support them in nice way in such a cases. And then we have a complex. We have a complex situations. So in complex situations, it's really not clear. So there is a cause, and then there is effect, and the relationship between cause and effect can be understood only from the position of future. You know, like there is this saying, after the battle, we all can be generals. Like when all this thing is finished, we will all know how we should address it. So is Sweden model right approach, or this very strict model where we should stay at home and not move anywhere, or there is another approach? Right now, it's not clear. It's really complex. But once when we have the experience, we can look back and see what works, what doesn't work, and then respond on that. So probe on a smaller sample, sense, see what are the results, and respond to that. This is what some countries are doing right now, and they are trying with something. They create the experience with the corona thing, and then they are changing their strategy. And right now, some countries are changing strategies. So it doesn't mean that this new strategy will work. And if they continue with this strategy, they should test again and be ready to respond quickly. So in complex area, your goal is really to find a small sample to test your strategy, to see if you can, based on this experience, make some kind of generalization, to come out with a approach, and then to apply this approach on the whole thing, and then to be really ready to change this approach. Very important thing is that in such areas, there are no best practices, there are no good practices. The practices need to emerge. And in such areas, you need really to act and to create the experience. And most businesses right now are actually in this case. So like now, all of a sudden, we are in a situation that we were not until recently. So we need to try, we need to probe, we need to test, and really to be open to change. And then the last one, in chaotic systems where there is just unknownables on all sides, like we don't know what are the connections, we really need to act. Just move, act, move, do things. And then sense, what are you going in the right direction, or don't try to make a pattern here. It's not clear, just move, try to say what you can say right now. And based on what you see, where are the areas that are safe and that there are areas that are dangerous, move into the safe area, but just move as soon as possible. And then respond to that thing. So through time, you should move from chaotic into complex, from complex into complicated into obvious. Ideally, you can move also from chaotic to obvious with some elements, but you know, like currently, like we can go in more in details later, but not right now. Most important is that you can assess your own situation from different roles, and this is the area of novel practice. So the practice will come up through time. This is the area of rapid action where we need to move as soon as possible. So, long story short, you face the situation, for example, this one that we are facing right now. You say, okay, based on different roles, I will have a different experience in one of these areas. I will feel that I'm right now, and how to approach that thing. And this model actually helps you to define your own approach from a different roles. And I would like also right now, like to just summarize. In different complexities, different complexities actually requires different approach. So I would like to ask you, so right now, when you think about this situation from different roles, where you would put yourself in a obvious domain, in complicated domain, chaotic domain, or complex domain. And I will ask my colleague Nebojša to launch the pool, and you can put multiple choices if you, this one is not with multiple choices, just with one. So you can think of one role that you are in. Okay, so think about one role, and from that role, what is your feeling? Where are you right now? Nebojša, if you can share results. Okay, so most of you complex, some of you complicated, some of you chaos, some of you simple, and a few of you none of above. If you feel that you're a none of above, then like just don't act. First, map yourself from a role that is important, and then based on that, you have here instruction how to approach that, how to move. And I would like to go a little bit more in details right now, so that we can later connect this with leadership styles. So the idea is to see how different leadership styles can be related to different areas of complexity. So just to summarize, simple context, cause and effect are predictable and clear to everyone. It's really clear. If A, then B. It's always like that. It's known cause implies known solution. This is the area of best practice. And in this area, what leaders need to do, assess facts, categorize, and respond. It's really clear. We don't need to think too much. We can explain people why we are doing things what we are doing, but there is no need to overcomplicate things or overcoach team members or teams. Second context, complicated context. In this context, we have a clear relationship between cause and effect, but to certain people. So some people can observe it, some people can see it, some people can understand how these two things are connected, and cause and effect, they have a multiple ways how they are interconnected. This is the area of expertise. If you're expert in certain field, then you can start you can deliver results in many different ways. This is a clear area for coaching. This is area where it's not the area of best practice, it's the area of good practice. And in this area, there are known causes, but like solutions, there are many different solutions, domain of good practice. And what leaders should do in this context. So first thing is to sense, to observe, then to think, to analyze, to explore. In a coaching process, there is a second area with, we say first area is inspiration, then the second area, implementation or exploration of different options. So in this in such a cases, leaders should stay longer in the area of implementation or exploration, where we should find what are many different ways. And from all these ways, what are the ways that are possible to be implemented today? And if these are ways that can be possible to be implemented today, what are those ways that can really, really work? And then from there, moving to first steps, and then how to make these first steps strong steps. So this is where really like it's the area where coaching can make a huge, huge difference. And there is no pressure on one way that really works for all. There are always many ways. So the more we spend time in complicated context, the more coaching is the right approach for us. Complex context is the context where cause and effect relationship are not clear from the present moment. So right now, yeah, like most of you said that you're in a complex context. I agree. Like I also voted that in many of these areas, I'm in complex context. So it's really not clear how these causes and effects are interconnected, but through time, I will start to learn about these things. We created some experiences. We created, this is my, I don't know, second or third webinar. Right now, it's better than the previous one. So I'm learning about using all these tools. There are many different approaches that I started to apply, like a visual thinking and facilitation online. So I started to react based on my experiences that I created. So first we need to probe, and then based on that thing, we need to come out with some strategies, and then apply these strategies to bigger sample, or apply it as a strategy for the organization. So unknown causes, unknown solutions, we need to act in complex context. So this is the area of emerging practice. So the practice should come from your team, should come from your organization, should come from your family. Nobody can tell you. Like right now, if I would ask different people about what to do with this delivery, like different people will give me different answers, and nobody will be 100% sure if this was the right way. So we need to do it by ourselves. It's quite complex for us. We need to try to probe, and then to see if it works, to continue. Like we need to be ready to change our approach. If delivery at home doesn't work well, like maybe we should go to hospital, but we need to be ready and open for it. And in this area, what is important, that we should be flexible to start, to give possibilities to our team members to play with things. We are a small company. We are just, I don't know, 20 people in total, and we could be one team. But now in these situations, we divided our teams to our team in even smaller teams. And people can try, can check things, can go and check what our vendors do, and then can implement it immediately. And then we can learn out of it, and then we will see what works, what doesn't work. But in this case, strategy will emerge through time, and it will emerge from our activity. We cannot learn it from someone else. And of course, leaders need to be flexible enough if something doesn't work to stop this activity as soon as possible. And last one, chaotic context. In chaotic context, really it's impossible to determine a relationship between cause and effect. So just the turbulences are happening, and my perception is that countries and governments are right now in this chaotic context. Not all of them, some of them, where it's really not clear. There is not clear cause and effect between, I don't know, what we are currently doing and what is the number of people that currently have this virus or don't have virus, and how these things are interconnected. So on a global scale, it really looks to me like a chaotic context. So there is unknownables on all sides, and what you could observe, and there are these jokes on the internet that people are sharing what officials of different countries were telling about virus. It's nothing, it's deadly. We should go and travel, no stay at home. Do this, do that. So it's all the time we are getting a different info. So it really creates additional chaos for people. And in such a context, this is the domain of rapid response. So just move as soon as possible. Try to move your team, your organization, your country, your family to some kind of stability. And then from there, start to find best practices and good practices that can help you to deal with the situation. So in such a situation, first, this is a context of rapid action. So we need to move and to sense where is the area of stability, and to try to respond in a way to transfer chaotic context in complex, if possible. Okay, so before I go to connection with leadership styles, I would like to ask you, are there any questions, thoughts, anything that you would like us to discuss? Or if I should go to any of these slides to make some kind of additional clarification, because next thing is our leadership styles and how to connect leadership styles with it with this model. No questions, no thoughts. Okay. Okay. Lynn, will we have access to slides? Yeah. Yes. Yes, Lynn. There are different models of leadership styles. I would like to share with you. Daniel Goleman's model quickly, and then I would like us to connect. If we have a situation that we are facing right now, and we are leaders, at least in our own life. I'm leading at least myself, and maybe I'm leading my team, and then maybe maybe I'm working with leaders who are leading teams. So what kind of leadership styles are appropriate for a situation that currently we are experiencing? As we saw from different roles, we will see this situation completely differently. So all of a sudden, we need to act differently in different areas of our life. So first, leadership style, coercive leadership style, or directive leadership style. So do what I tell you. So I would like people to really follow my instruction. This is the thing, this is how you should do it, this is the right way. I know the best, let's move, let's do what I tell you, don't think, just move, just do. And some situations really require this type of style. Most probably, like before crisis, it was not for many organizations preferred leadership style. However, there were some contexts where we would like really to have our leaders in a position to really be more directive. Second type of style is authoritative or visionary. Yes, yes, yes. Lynn is making comments, important in emerging situations. Authoritative or visionary. There is a leader, and leader shows the vision. This is a big vision. Follow me. And a leader is perceived as firm but fair. In this style, when applying this style, we have a figure of a leader who people would like to follow. And we have this type of leaders examples in many movies, like, I don't know, Braveheart. It's a nice example of visionary leadership style, where people are following his vision, or any other these great characters who are showing hope to people. Okay, next one, affiliative. People come first. So it's really about us. Let's talk first about people. Let's just show empathy. Let's connect. Let's ask people how do they feel about this situation, about where should we go from here. And look what is happening right now. Many leaders are in a situation that their business is going down, and they cannot keep both business in the same level and people. Should they fire people or not? Or should they keep them or reduce salaries, or what to do? Or should they risk and keep everyone on board? And then, since we don't know where this crisis will end, what will happen with the organization? I don't know if you know, but there was at the beginning of this crisis, CEOs of many, I don't have a data right now, but my colleagues send me, maybe you can check it on the internet. I don't know, 10 or 15 CEOs of big companies just resign immediately when the crisis started. I mean, it's a difficult time, and then we need to choose between what? Results or people. And leadership style we call affiliative is where we put people in the first place. And there are some situations where we really need this type of stuff. Next one, democratic. So where we would like to invite people to share their opinions. And we would like to, based on these opinions, decide in what direction we should go. So we would like to build the environment of trust, of commitment, of good communication, of respect, where we would like to develop certain type of culture that really, on the long run, actually creates effects for us and for the organization. Next one. Okay, next two. One is coaching. Coaching not in the way of try this, or maybe asking more questions like this. Try this is maybe not the right way to demonstrate what coaching approach is. However, we would like to invite people to try different things, to think about their own ways, to really find their own options, and then based on these options to try to find the right one and to move project forward, and then basically learn from the experience that they create as they are moving forward. And the last one is a pace setting style, where we set the high expectations based on our own example and putting high standards. So look what I'm doing, look how I do things, so I will show you, and just do as I do. I'm the example, and whatever I show you, if I can do it, you can do it. And then I'm expecting people to act as soon as possible, and to create results quickly in a relatively short period of time. So for more info about the leadership styles, I recommend to check about this model, to check Daniel Goleman's work, and then you can have more details. And ideally, leaders should be flexible enough to show all 6 leadership style in different contexts. In some contexts, as Lynn wrote here, it's very useful to be really directive. In other contexts, it's very useful to be more democratic. In third context, we should coach people. And now, like, what we are facing is that we have a situation that all of a sudden there are limits, and we are put in a box. And from our different roles, it requires different approaches. So I would like to ask you what it is that, I would like to ask actually Nebojša to launch a poll, next one. So if you think about simple context, remember simple context of best practices, where there is an obvious relationship between cause and effect. What is, in your opinion, best approach for simple context? And you can have a multiple answers here. Okay, so there is no one way, there is always more different ways, but let's see what is your opinion. If you have a simple context situation where really, or some from one of your roles, it's very clear, it's a situation is very clear, what would be the best approach, your approach to your team members, or if you work with a team leader who has a team, and to help him to move through such a complexity, what is the best approach? So Nebojša, if you can share results. Oh, it's interesting. Okay, lots of coaches in the room voting for you know the best how you would approach the situation. Okay, so please remember, simple context is the Nebojša, if you can please still share the results. Thank you. Simple context is the context where it's a context of best practice. This is the way. We don't need to talk about it. And if we coach person, like I would like to address this coaching. If we would coach person around the best way, and best ways simply exist. It's like how to use a CRM. There is a best way in their organization, and I don't want to coach someone around this thing. This is the best way. That's it. This is how we do it. I can show you in a nice way, but still it's the best way. There is no your way. There is only our way. This is the way. So in a simple context, coaching is not the best approach. Directive approach is really good. Works well from the position of results, from the position of creating a good atmosphere. Affiliative approach can be also nice, because let's first connect as a people, and then as we connect, we create certain energy, certain culture, then we implement the best practices. Then the person, when they feel connected, they are more ready to apply these best practices. You know, like also pace setting can be very good, because if we all know what we should do, so we know how to do it, we know this is it, this is the way how it should be done, it's clear, okay, now let's do it. We don't think, we just do the things. So simple context, what are possibilities in terms of the best approaches is directive, then affiliative, and pace setting. Pace setting and directive from the position of results, because everything is clear. Affiliative from the position of creating a good energy, and then when you create the culture of cooperation, culture of appreciation, culture of respect, people are ready to go and follow best practices. What is not so good approach in simple context is coaching. Why? Because maybe people will come up with something that they perceive as a good option, but still it's not the best option. And many times it happens that, you know, like people would like to come up with something new, but there is no time for testing these new things, because simply this is it will require lots of energy for the simple tasks. It's better to use this energy for more complex tasks. Democratic, again, it might be good from the position of creating some energy. However, be careful not to go into the domain of action, because if there is a best practice, we shouldn't vote about this best practice. Best practice is best practice. And also another style, visionary style. Just be careful to connect your vision with action. You know, structure of logical levels, vision is very high, and if there is a best practice, you know, sometimes people might feel disconnection between you're talking about big vision, how to change the world, blah 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 blah, but we need to operate on daily basis, we need to do some simple tasks. So long story short, ideally directive, affiliative, and pace setting for simple context. Okay. Nebojša, can you please launch next one? So now we talk about complicated context. Remember complicated context. It's the context of expertise. In this context, there are many different ways how to move from to right solution. Still, it's we talk about order, but there are many ways how to come up to this right way to solutions. So please vote. Also, multiple choices are welcome. Nebojša, if you can share results. That's good. So coaching, yes, this is the area of coaching. So it's an area of good practice. And this is the really perfect area for coaching. Also, I would say that affiliative is also very important here, especially if you work with teams. And for the same reason as in the example of best practices, because once when people are connected around some topic and then you create a nice energy, then people will be ready to move to explore the options. Okay, democratic as well in terms of finding the way. What I wouldn't recommend in the case of good practices is pace setting, because once when we move, it means that, and especially if we say go, 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 it means that we really pick a direction. There is no now moving back. So it means that my way or highway, this is how we do it. So be careful in complicated contexts if you are really using pace setting leadership style. Also be careful with directive style, because it is the area of good practice. And if we say this is the best way, then we risk maybe we are right, maybe we are wrong. So I'm not saying that it cannot be applied. Just be careful that then you need to be 100% sure that your way is a good way. Authoritative or visionary style, it's possible. I mean, now we are talking about many different ways, and it is more appropriate than in a simple domain, because if you think through logical levels, here we talk about strategies. So strategies are closer to vision, so people can make a easier connection. You show people vision, and then you ask people, okay, what is the way? So what definitely doesn't work here, doesn't work directive and pace setting. Ideal would be coaching, and other three are also can be good in this context as additional start. So flexibility is a goal. Okay, so let's move to next pool. We now talk about complex context. Remember complex context, there is a relationship between cause and effect, but it's not clear for present moment. These relationships can be recognized only after you create some experience. And then after you create experience on a smaller context, then you come up with some kind of way that you want to apply through whole organization or market and so on. So what is your suggestion of how you would approach these situations? Okay, please vote. Multiple choices are welcome, because we want to show flexibility as leaders, and leaders that we work with, they need to show flexibility. And now we are moving into this domain where most of us feel like these days. So Nebojša, please share results. Wow. Interesting. Democratic. We need to find a common ground. What do you think? Okay. Okay, very nice group of people in this webinar today. So please, democratic style is the slowest style of leader of making any kind of a decision, because until we all agree, it takes time. So usually democratic style is good because it will bring good energy. It will, people will feel good because they were asked about something. However, the process is very slow. I don't know if some of you did high performance team coaching with Ericsson. And in this program, we are actually testing different styles, not these six, but very similar. And then when we test democratic style, what we get is that people are very happy, but the process of coming to the decision is very slow. And if when you're in a complicated, complex context, you need to create experience as soon as possible. You need to have the experience. So this quadrant requires action. So then look, what are the areas that, what are the styles that really first work with action? We talk about directive, we talk about pace setting, and of course, we said first action and then be ready to change your approach. So I would say connection between coaching, because if I am ready to change my approach, I need to learn out something from this action, but first I need action. So I would in these type of problems, well, I would say first move either with directive or with pace setting, and then immediately include coaching for learning, because we need to learn out of something. We need to create experience and then learn, create experience and then learn, and then change, and then continue with this rhythm. So definitely no democracy in complex situations, because we need fast action. Later democracy will can come, and also be really careful, because these two styles are slowest. People love it the most, but they're slow. They require time. We need time to connect. And when the things are, when we need to come up with something new, we say it's the domain of emergent practice. The practice needs to emerge. We don't have time for these things. So simply leaders need to move faster. Even visionary is better, because vision can pull people if you have a strong leader. So long story short, not no democracy, no affiliative. What? Yes, combination of action you can trigger either to directive, to visionary, or to pace setting, but it needs to be followed up through with coaching, so that we can learn out of this experience that we created for ourselves and our teams. Okay, thank you. And okay, there is a question. I would argue that conscious requires all aim to agree and to explore the issue, to sense, understanding, and then in complex problems, like it's just from the time that democratic style requires a time for longer time for response in a given situation than immediate action. So and especially like if we vote around something, we discuss around these things, and then we create the experience, and then if will we vote again next time if this doesn't work. So it's way better, like voting in the domain of complex problems is not the right maybe not the best thing. Like, can you imagine if we now face this situation and then in our company, like, I mean, in a company or in country, we start to vote what we will do. And then we act, and then we create the experience, and then we vote again. So it is slow, just that thing. Okay, let's go with the next one, last one. Nebojša, if you can launch a last poll. Thank you. Okay, so please vote. And if we can see the results. Okay. Okay, interesting. So just to remind you one more time, chaos is domain of rapid action. Just move. And whatever style will you can use to move, it works. So definitely directive, definitely pace setting, visionary. If you can support with your vision people to move as soon as possible, it's fine, but we need to have a same direction of movement. Please, just it's not time for voting. It's not time for people. It's slow. It requires movement as soon as possible. Remember, chaos requires action. Stop bleeding. Sense where there is any kind of stability, and then when it comes to moving away from further chaos, and then as we are moving to stability, shift your leadership style. So for in chaos, what we want to act as soon as possible. I would so pace setting, directive, visionary, and then potentially later we can talk about coaching. Democratic and affiliative, so more from the other side, and in order system, when everything is in order. And then you can see it in countries. Countries that are in order, they can use democracy and voting. Countries that are in chaos, democracy doesn't work. They usually have this strong authoritative leaders. And then, you know, like when you want to implement democracy in such countries, simply it doesn't produce results. Okay, so this was connection between leadership styles and Cynefin framework. Yes, that's right. And Lynn is talking about Maslow's theory here, and Maslow's theory of needs is another sense-making model. You cannot use Maslow's theory of needs and says, this is a data, I put it here, because we can shift in the different levels of Maslow's theory of needs in the different parts of a day. So it's more sense-making model than categorization model. So what about me? I would like slowly to conclude, and then we go for questions and answers. As a father and husband, this is me. Like right now, I am in quite complex situation. This is how I perceive this situation. I'm not in chaos anymore, but it is complex. So what does it mean? There is no best way. There is no good way. The way how we will deal with the situation will emerge. What does it mean? We will start definitely with the delivery at home when baby arrives. We would like to have a home delivery, but we will create some experience. I will be the midwife, and we will create some experience. And if this works well, then we will continue. If this doesn't work well, we will go to hospital. So we would like, first we need to create experience. We will learn out of this experience, and then we have a second fun. So my perception from this role is complex situation. Then, as a facilitator, oh no, it's fine. I moved online. I have new tools. I have different tools. I'm now learning how to use this visual facilitation. And then there is another tool and another tool. So many tools that are helping me to be more effective on online trainings. So now I am facing situation that there are many different ways how to deliver a program, and I can coach myself. This webinar is done only with PowerPoint and with Zoom. It's fine. I mean, I will learn something of it. I will improve it next time. I will maybe add some more pieces, some of these tools, and it will work. And as an entrepreneur, oh my God, still we don't know. It's quite chaotic. Like simply things stopped. Like now, like we still don't know if our clients, I mean, we talk now about corporate clients, are ready to move to online work, or they would like still to get some on-site facilitation. There is lots of tools that are already ready for online applications. Some projects started, some are still on hold. So we still are moving, acting, meaning exploring new tools, new approaches. In last 1 month and a half, we tested so many new things that we didn't do it in the last 2 years. So we are still finding something that will be like kind of a stable ground. And now we need to decide, will we move from this stage where we are right now and just to pick the direction of online work, or we would like to keep our on-site activities. So still I'm between chaos and complexity. Yeah. So because chaos is something that for all of us bothers us. We are not used to being in chaotic context, and we don't like spending time there. I would like just to get to put some points about chaotic context, and then we will end this webinar. It's somehow it lasted a little bit longer than I expected. So what is important in chaotic context? There is no point and there is, you shouldn't look for the right answer. There is no right answer. So because nothing is clear, like you need to act first, and then once when you start to find out some patterns, then you can make conclusions. Just there are questions like why this is happening, what is the right way, what we should do, what will be the long-term results. Just move. There is that. Just don't. These are not good questions. These are questions that will just bring more frustration. So in chaotic context, leader's job is first stop bleeding. That's the first job. And if you're coaching the leaders and that they're now in inner conflicts, support them in these things, because leaders need coaching right now. Maybe leaders shouldn't apply coaching approach with their team members. There are other leadership styles that are more effective, but leaders need coaching because now they have a tough job to do. They need to establish the order. This is the second thing, and sense where the stability is present and move the organization in this direction, and do their best to transform this situation from chaotic into complexity. Because in complexity, we can play, we can find different things, we can find new ways, new practices might emerge. So what do we need to do if we face this situation as chaotic? Just keep calm and take a massive daily action. So just move, but move from calmness, not from stress. So first step, keep calm, do whatever your method for calmness is. Will you meditate? Will you pray? Will you just use mindfulness? Or you will be a client for coaching? And as you are in this calm state, then just move. And really, it's day by day. As long as you don't come to situation where there is no chaos anymore. It can be order, it can be complexity, it can be some other, but just not chaotic. Yes, move and create the experience. So sorry for a little bit longer than I expected. I spent more time, and now it's a time for questions and answers. So I'm here. Anything that you would like to ask, comment to make? You can ask, type, make comments. No questions. So many coaches in the room. Okay. Okay, I will definitely share a presentation. Any? Okay. That's right. Yeah, they moved very fast. Lots of people bought toilet paper. Fast movement. Don't think just move, but it's it's they apply these learnings from other chaotic situations. Yes. How to combine directive leadership with coaching into the phase of complicated. Okay, great. Look. Um, just let's go back to the model. Okay, here it is. So complicated and complex. Please, direct in complicated, we can coach people. So I wouldn't say that for complicated situations, the directive leadership style is good, because this is sense, analyze, response. This is where thinking is important in complicated situations. And in regular work, most of the things that we are facing as managers, as experts, are complicated problems. And the coaching is the right approach. In complex domain, what we need to probe, to test. And then based on this testing, to make a conclusion, because the connection between cause and effect are visible only after we create the experience. And this is why directive style is very good to just do something, test it, and to create the experience and then combine it with coaching. Let's do it. Let's do it. Want to create the experience. Just create the experience. Just go and do it. And then after we do it, we coach ourselves or we coach people. So combination of directive and coaching is very useful for in complex situation. When it comes to complicated problems, I would go always first with coaching, not so much with insisting on action, because there's so many different ways. So coaching for learning, correct. So sense, analyze, response. Complicated. Complex, probe, test, just do it, action. Just make an action. After you make an action, understand what works, what doesn't work, and come up with some strategy. Yeah. Directive vision, also reminding everyone for organization core values is guiding principles. That's right. So look, vision is high, and as only thing that I would be very careful if you work with visionary style and then you put on some manual work, some best practices. So why we should start with vision if there is a best practice? So just be careful. When you have a visionary style, you can also support people to find their own ways. It's a closer. How to keep empathy then use directive visionary style. Okay, so there is I like a lot this example and in a book From Good to Great. And in this book, it's presented so-called Stockdale paradox. And what is Stockdale paradox? During the Vietnam War, the prisoners who were there, some of them really had hope that things will change, that they will be out very soon until, I don't know, Christmas, and then until Easter, and then until summer. And others were basically not having this type of hope. They hoped that everything would be okay, but they were implementing on daily basis strategy how to survive in a given context. Those who had just hope that things will that they will go out as soon as possible didn't survive or didn't went well through this whole process. Who survived are those who had both polarities, both I will do whatever it takes on daily basis to really make out the best out of this day, and I'm really like operationally focused on here and now and an implementation of whatever I agree for today. And at the same time, I have a hope that things will be okay. So I would like both to connect those two things. And here the question is how to connect empathy with movement. And why not? I can feel for a person and I can show appreciation and I can show that I feel how you feel. And at the same time, this is what we will do today. Now, and this is the quality of great leaders. If you remember from the art and science of coaching, there is one exercise, we do it in module 3, we call it state line. There is two polarities, polarity A and polarity B, and we would like to integrate these two polarities. I would like to integrate both empathy and directive style in a domain when we need direct style. So we would like to have both of it, integration of these two things. So this is where the coaching can be very helpful, because sometimes leaders will not choose between either I show empathy or I'm directive. But what if you can do both? If you can show empathy and be directive. This is what we need right now. And this is where coaching can be an amazing tool for leaders to help them to feel for their people, but at the same time to move to action. Okay, anything else? Okay, guys. So thank you very much for this, for time. Thank you very much for being in this webinar. And I will send you this PowerPoint, and I hope to see you on some other webinars. So stay safe and keep calm and take massive daily action just from the position of calmness. Action without calmness goes into. So stay safe. Bye.